Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day, and welcome to probably the biggest project that I've ever put on this channel to completion. When I was growing up, I had a handful of select Nintendo 64 games that were my absolute favorites. I'm sure a lot of people did. But after playing them so frequently and beating them over and over the regular way, I would look for new and different ways to play them. Kind of challenge myself and see if I could do things in a different manner. That's what this is going to be. You know full well this is the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. What this is going to be, though, the nuance to this, is I'm going to be playing the game while killing as few enemies as possible. Now, as far as any ground rules to this run, the only two things that I really have are that obviously we're going to try not to specifically kill enemies. If we injure them or if we maybe blind them, which is going to happen a lot, that's a-okay. The only other rule, and it's not even so much a rule as much as it is just my particular play style, I will not be using any glitches. This will be a glitchless run. Again, one, because I think it's a little bit more interesting, but two, I'm simply not good at them in this game. I can do Infinite Sword, but I can't do something as simple as bomb sliding. Just never been able to for one reason or another. Anyway, the Deku Tree and Navi have given me enough time to get my introductory spiel out of the way. Now we're going to start to get into the meat of the game, of course. Every now and again you'll see me fast forward through some things that of course aren't quite as important to our gameplay. Of course, anybody that's played this game, and I can imagine it's many of you, you know that the first thing on deck is to get to and into the Great Deku Tree to help him out with the curse that was put on him by Ganondorf. Well, what you're going to see, or frankly not see a lot of right now, is me collecting rupees, which of course is customary. We have to get the Deku Shield, and we have to get the Kokiri Sword, or else Mido won't let us through. Well, I collect enough rupees to get the shield. However, there's another nuance to this. With our no-kill policy that we're going to try to adhere to as best we can, it means things like Deku Sticks and Deku Nuts, we can't get them from the normal source we could, because that would require killing the Deku Babas. So, we have to get a few more rupees than normal, and you'll see me here buying the Deku Shield and also some Deku Sticks, because of course we will need the sticks for a lot of the puzzles that lie inside the Great Deku Tree. Aside from that, we'll also be getting quite a few Deku Nuts, as again, I can't help that we might have to blind some of these enemies. Again, as long as I don't outright kill the enemy, I think it's fair game. Anyway, once we've received our Deku Nuts and our Deku Sticks, it's time to head into the first dungeon, the Great Deku Tree. Let's see what we can do to relieve him of the curse placed on him by Ganondorf, the King of Evil. As we enter the Great Deku Tree, you'll notice that the beginning of the dungeon isn't really that far away from the norm. The first thing we run into are these Deku Babas on the base floor, and obviously they can't go anywhere, so they're harmless to us. Now, the first thing we'll need to do is collect the slingshot, which, Link, please be careful when you go into that room, though. That Deku Scrub is fully loaded! Well, we did what we had to do. Once again, we didn't completely destroy the Scrub, just kind of gave him a bump on the head. So as far as I'm concerned, that's fair game. Now that we have the slingshot, we can continue up to the second floor and then make our way into the basement. Now, the first thing that was new to me when I first attempted this run long ago was that the Skulltulas on the wall are actually not that observant. You see, as a child, I would try to just climb up these walls very quickly. That's the wrong way to go about it. First of all, we gotta listen to Navi tell us how, to climb vines. However, since we're trying not to kill these Skulltulas, we just gotta get our stealth on and ever so slowly climb up this wall. When the Skulltula turns pink, it means it's noticed you, and if you keep moving, it will charge after you and eventually knock you down the wall. However, just taking things one step at a time, you'll be able to climb the wall with no problems. Again, as a child, I didn't know this. I would just gun it up the wall. When I found out you could simply slowly climb up past them, that was surprising to me. Anyway, now that we're up on the second floor, of course, as I said, now we gotta make our way down to the basement. Which might bring into question whether or not I have to kill this big Skulltula. The answer is no. The well-timed Deku Nut will freeze into place and then I can jump right down and right through this web to... Oh. Well, let's try that again. Happens to everyone, right? Much better. One of the perks of the Great Deku Tree dungeon, at least in our case since we're trying not to interact with enemies as little as possible, is that a lot of the threats are stationary. Also, I don't know why I opened this chest. I think it's because I thought there might be some money in there and maybe we'd have to do some shopping later. But no, of course it's a recovery heart. You know, in case you broke your legs on the way down, I guess. Anyway, as I said, things like this Deku Baba and really most of the enemies in this dungeon are stationary, so I don't have to worry about them a whole lot. Something I do have to worry about is the big Skulltulas. And this guy is our first obstacle. As you can see, he's a little bit territorial about this block and this ledge. However, just pulling the block away a little bit will allow you to get up there as he does a dance, and he won't be able to harm you. The next big Skulltula in the room with the tiny Gomas can also be stunned with the Deku's Nut, allowing us to skip right by him. And of course, from now, all we gotta do is remember that 23 is number 1. A couple of webs will be burned, and on our way down to the very bottom of the Deku Tree we go. And here we go. Say it with me, everybody. 23. Well, almost. One more try there. 3 is number 1. And now we have a date with royalty. Our first boss fight of the game, Queen Goma. Now I know there's a very quick way to deal with Queen Goma, and unfortunately I kind of butcher it on this attempt. I really like the design of Queen Goma. I thought she was a fantastic first boss. We're going to stun Queen Goma with a Deku Nut and then do a jump slash with a Deku Stick. However, when I go for the crouch stab, using the crouch stab, I don't know if you call it a glitch, I guess more of an exploit. That way I don't have to rename my intro. However, Navi loses track of where Queen Goma is when I do this. So in a panic, I try to reposition to fire a Deku Nut, or excuse me, a Deku Seed at her, but she's able to drop some of her children off. Ew. Not something I've commonly had to deal with. So I'm thinking, okay, well, whatever, this just makes the fight more interesting. Now let me see if I can shoot her while she's walking around on the ceiling. As it would turn out, no. Goma keeps her eye closed after she's dropped her kids. So I would have to destroy the offspring in order to hurt Queen Goma any further. Obviously we're not doing that, so it's time for another reset. Let's try round 2. Round 2 I do a little bit more customarily. It might not necessarily be flashy, but it'll get the job done at least. Again, unfortunately, this is where the complete no-kill policy comes to an end, very early on. Of course, with no glitches, the bosses are going to have to fall by the wayside. It's just how it is. And a shot to the eye, and a few stabs, and again, regrettably, there's death number 1, Queen Goma. As we watch her arachnid majesty burst into blue flames for some reason, now's as good a time as ever to ask, how many creatures do you think we'll have to kill in order to progress all the way through the game? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, we're going to get our first heart container and teleport out to receive the first of our spiritual stones, the Kokiri Emerald. Bestowed upon us by the Great Deku Tree, who we were told we were helping by going in there and defeating the Queen. However, we'll soon find out it was kind of a half-truth that he told us. Here's another thing. What's your favorite spiritual stone of them all? I think mine would probably be the Zora Sapphire. I'm a big fan of blue, and I just really like the intricate design of that stone. Anyway, this is kind of death number 2, but I'm saying that doesn't count. That's not my fault. The tree lied to me. As Navi and I say our goodbyes to the Great Deku Tree, that's the end of this part. I will see you down the line for part number 2.